G'day! In today's video I'm tearing down a Oppo R15 to replace it with an aftermarket display. So we got a aftermarket display which was considerably cheaper than the original factory display, but it is also considerably thicker than the factory display. So if you want to make it as good as the original, I would not recommend this. This is purely getting done for data recovery purposes and the potential for a backup phone. So to begin with, I have had it on my heat pad here at 75 degrees Celsius for around about 5 to 10 minutes. It is considerably hot to the touch, so I'm going to try not to handle it too much. To begin with, I'm going to be using my thin metal pry tool. It's actually looking a bit raggedy, so I'll see if I can spot my new one. Bingo, this will work considerably better. Same brand, same everything. Considerably better condition. This can go to recycling. This is the new primary one. So once you've got your pry tool, very thin. Be careful, you can slice your hand quite easily with this. Put on some isopropyl alcohol and work your way around the edges of the phone. Now I am expecting this one to crack, being that it's already cracked down the bottom here. With the help of the heat and the isopropyl, this is coming apart nice and easy. It's also probably not advisable to leave your metal tools on the heat pad as well. Now I'm not sure where the sensor connects here, so I am just pulling the tool out just to the bare minimum distance. And we're in. So there is adhesive tape around the outer perimeter, which depending on how well you cut it, you may or may not need to replace that. From here, you could almost turn off the heat pad if you want, but I'm going to leave that on and just switch it to 60 degrees. Have it a bit cooler, so that's going to drop down shortly. And from here, if I zoom in, I'm going to disconnect the fingerprint scanner. And I will also want to disconnect the battery too. There's no point doing the swap while it's still got a live battery connected up. Bingo. Hit here. One cover. Battery disconnected. One back cover off. So put that out of the way. And next we want to focus, I believe, is down here. I believe around about here is where the screen is connected. So we'll zoom in on that for you. These are all just Phillips head screws, which makes it nice and easy. Doesn't mean you need any special kind of screwdriver. It also means if you lose one of the screws, they're pretty straightforward to replace. Now, apologies about the focus that's going on here. Now it's focusing more on my hand than on the actual task at hand. We do also have a warranty sticker down here. There we go. Now this should hopefully lift up. Yep. And we're in. So from here, what you could potentially do to potentially save yourself some drama would be you could connect up your screen right now, use it to get to the data, or just to actually test out your new display to make sure it's not faulty. So connect it up, connect the battery up, power it on from there. I'm going to skip that step and proceed to remove the screen. So from here, I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to start with the thin metal pry tool to begin with. And there is a slight groove, if I can get it. We have the frame, we have a bit of plastic body, and then we have the display. Cracking the OLED there. I just want to lift it up just enough that I can get a larger pry tool in there, and then I can get to work. So just trying to lift up the actual plastic trim here. It's stuck better to the plastic trim than it is to the actual phone, or to the frame, as you can see here. So just be mindful of that and not probably use too much force, because you don't really want to have to replace the bezel around the display. I've just decided to go to town on it. So that is almost laughable. That plastic bezel is more attached to the screen than to the actual phone itself. So that has removed it, as you can see. It also given me a fair bit more of a challenge, because this is so thin and flimsy that it's almost borderline a joke. It shouldn't, yeah, it almost makes me just want to rip that off, being this is for data recovery purposes. One thing you do want to make sure is swap that over to the new one. And we do have also a particular sensor plastic here, which I'd say must have come from up here. Put that back in. Double check it first. I think I've got that arse about. No, right way around. From here it'd be safe to switch off the heatpad. There we go. And you could potentially give that a clean out for your customer as well. And with the orientation of it, there's a metal bit here, have that to the top of the phone. I don't know if we'll be able to see it. No, we can't really see the thickness difference on camera, sorry. Aftermarket, original. So with this one, I think I'm just gonna fill it with B7000 frame adhesive all around here, and enough to actually stick the phone down, or the screen down as well. I'll take off this. Slightly different look to it than the factory. I'll be using some of this and getting extremely liberal over here. So you should only need a fairly thin bead of the stuff. Which we'll soon see in just a second. Around the camera I choose to be very sparing with the amount of glue. Just because you don't really want it to go over the camera lens or on the earpiece speaker. So my suggestion is, if the seller offers to sell it with the screen with the bezel, and you're doing it for a full proper repair, I would be definitely recommending to buy it with that bezel, or the trim, just by how ridiculously flimsy it was and how well it stayed attached to the display. It makes me think that they come already pre-applied when they build them in the factory. Well, that should be enough. Now if I zoom out, this process here should be straightforward. Make sure you've got the earpiece sensor installed up here. Bingo. And then what we're going to want to do there is feed it through this gap down the bottom. Just be careful not to get your own glue. Right here. Feed it through, kink it, keep pushing, and we want to lay it flat. You do want to align that trim if you can. Work your way around. Now I'm expecting this screen to stick out slightly further than the previous one, the factory one. Don't be too concerned about the glue, as you can use the isopropyl and a wipe after to clean that off. Just want to make sure it's nice and evenly pushed down. Yep, we've had another bracket fall out, that's fine. So from here, it's a matter of reassembling. The screen's connected. I'm not going to be too concerned about the back adhesive. Maybe I will be concerned about it. I might as well remove it. I've got replacement stuff here. Now we'll just throw on one of my cameras or my lights. That may or may not help. Not overly. Apologies about the shadows that are flickering over while I'm doing this, making it a bit harder to see what I'm doing. But this is fairly standard or similar design to most other Chinese phones I'm used to dealing with. Probably excluding Xiaomi, but even them are fairly similar to this as well. Now I'll bring this back down. Let's get those screws back into it. This one I'm not actually too sure where it fell from. I would suspect around here. Ah, bingo, right there. Cool. So we'll put the bottom shield back on to begin with. Once I figure out the orientation. That way. From there, Phillips head screwdriver. Put those screws back in. The screw length themselves is all identical, which is usually fairly standard for these mobs. So you shouldn't really have to be too concerned if you've mixed up your screws. There we go. One thing to note, I did accidentally slice the power button over here by the looks of it. Bugger. Thought that seemed a bit odd. Hopefully the phone will still power up, or I can jump start it from here. Otherwise this will make my job a little bit more difficult. So do be cautious of that. And I'm just trying to figure out how this little latch one works as well. And it just pushes in. Now reconnect your battery. Connect this back up. One single screw over here. And then from there you could use either the B7000 around here or just some adhesive. That should pretty much do the repair job on your Oppo R15. Bye.